Brent Venables reported to Oklahoma as the new head coach. And of course, most Oklahoma fans seem to be very happy about that. Jason, if you want to take this in any particular direction or go to questions, that is up to you.
Yeah, there's probably some thoughts about and this is a very interesting an interesting conversation about the defensive coordinator. So I think there's some thoughts initially that he would just come in and be the defensive coordinator himself, and I don't think that's going to be the case. Just from from what he'll certainly have a hand in the game plan and the in the play calling situation, but I don't think he'll be the play caller. So I think there's two big names that I've heard consistently, today and then and last night as well. And I think Brandon Hall is the first one. Was with Venables at OU when Venables was the defensive coordinator, was an assistant at Oklahoma. Currently the defensive coordinator at Troy, interim head coach at Troy. I think the one thing that a lot of Oklahoma fans probably would like is that he is a guy that actually I don't know, wouldn't say coordinated, but he was very integral in the special teams at Troy. Oklahoma's really kind of struggled in that area over the last few years. So I think that brings that brings a certain level of maybe comfortability to that area as well. So I think he's one that I've heard a lot about, just the familiarity that he has with Venables in the system in the system defensively as well. And I think another one is Todd Bates, existing defensive line coach at Clemson. Venables could bring him along. He's been with Clemson, I think, since 2013. Is now the recruiting coordinator. Just an excellent recruiter. Actually, was recruiter of the year in 2019. So I think bringing him over would also be a great move. I've kind of heard through that Dabo probably looks to go within, just in terms of replacing Venables. So I would think that possibly he might be a guy that is could be the next defensive coordinator. I've heard Teddy Lehman has kind of made some coy comments about potentially Jim Leonard being a guy that's in the mix. Wouldn't on the cuff, it doesn't necessarily look like it would be necessarily a great fit. He's a great defensive coordinator, no doubt about it at all. But I just wonder, just from his background in Wisconsin, if that makes a ton of sense at Oklahoma. But it would absolutely be be a very, very solid hire. So those are the three names that I've probably heard more than anything. Strength and conditioning coach is something that's going to be, almost in my mind, Mark, maybe the third most important hire based on kind of where Oklahoma was at. Jerry Schmidt was a guy that was with Stoops and had been with Oklahoma for years and years and years. A few years ago, he left and went to Texas A&M. So he's a guy that potentially could get a call. But I think this would be a really, really nice, almost a home run hire from this perspective. Tommy Moffitt is a guy who's been a long time strength and conditioning coach with LSU. He was let go earlier this week by Brian Kelly, just as part of the new staff. So I think he's a guy that absolutely would get a call as well. So those are some of the names that I'm hearing from kind of offensive, defensive coordinator, then obviously special teams. Special teams within strength and conditioning. And the one thing I wanted to kind of piggyback off just really, really quickly is, before we kind of take this however we want, is that we kind of mentioned that Oklahoma's, they're not a 3-9 team, not a 4-8. There's plenty of talent. There's plenty of, they struggled a little bit this year, obviously, but when you think about it, the two teams that they lost to are in New Year's Six Bowl. So it's not like they lost to horrible teams. And if you're an Oklahoma fan, take take solace in the fact if anybody stayed up late to watch that USC game last night, their USC's in a much tougher spot than Oklahoma is, from a talent perspective. So, and I think Riley has the ability to turn around, but I think immediately it's going to be, it may be a little bit of a shock on just how either devoid of talent or just how much of a struggle they're in right now.
Yeah, that Cal team is nothing great, and they beat USC by 10 points to finish off USC season in 4-8. They were 4-8 in a weak conference, and they usually put together a pretty difficult schedule outside the conference. But other than that, it was the second to worst defense in the Pac-12, and again, that's saying a lot. So yeah, Lincoln Riley's not necessarily going to hit the ground running. I'm sure there will be improvement, but they've got a long, long way to go.